thought Puerto Rico played very, very hard, and they played hard the entire time. They challenged us with their effort, and I thought they made a lot of hustle plays to create baskets for themselves. And this was more of an uneven game for us on both ends. We talked about it as a team, and I thought we had some good spots, but I also thought we had some rough spots, and that's good. It's good to have rough spots sometimes. You're able to kind of figure some things out, and we're still figuring things out.
What happened? Where was all the transition offense from yesterday? Where was all the team ball from yesterday?
Non-existent.
Imagine walking into a new job and shattering every company record before lunch. That is exactly what Caitlin Clark accomplished during her Team USA Senior National Team debut against Senegal. Coming off the bench, she played just 19 minutes yet delivered 17 points, 12 assists, 0 turnovers, connected on 4 of 5 three-point attempts, and knocked down all 5 of her free throws in limited action. This was not merely a solid debut. It was a complete takeover, with numbers that were not just impressive but historically unprecedented. FIBA had to dig through decades of international basketball records to fully grasp what she had achieved, discovering that Clark had broken 5 separate world records in that single game, all in her very first appearance on the senior national team, record 1. Clark recorded the most assists by any
players at a time. Hockey subs.
Kelsey Plum with her first. Caitlin Clark on the move, over to Billings. Billings on the left-hand side, off the glass, and how dangerous is Team USA?
Player in a Team USA Senior National Team debut, men's or women's, with no one in the history of USA basketball ever facilitating at that level in their first game, and she accomplished this in under 20 minutes of playing time. Record 2. She surpassed not just the American mark but the global standard, recording more assists in a senior national team debut than any player from any country in FIBA history, topping the worldwide list on her very first attempt. Record 3, Clark posted the second most assists in FIBA qualifying tournament history, instantly placing herself alongside the greatest single-game passing performances the competition has ever produced after just one game. Record 4.
High-level basketball.
Ryan Howard, back to Clark. Clark into Irvin, and Irvin off the glass, the ball movement.
She set the mark for most assists by any bench player in FIBA history, men's or women's, achieving what no reserve in international basketball history had ever done before despite not even being in the starting lineup. Record 5. Clark dished out 8 assists in the first half alone without committing a single turnover, the highest first-half assist total in qualifying game history, all before halftime and with 0 giveaways. What makes those numbers even more extraordinary is that Ryan Howard had a massive scoring night, with a significant portion of her production coming directly from Clark's elite court vision and pinpoint passing.
Once again, she's got 8 points. She wanted to pull up for 3, but gonna share it with Ryan Howard, who puts up a 3, and that's her second of the game. Give her. Comes off the screen from Irvin, kicks it over to Clark. Clark behind the back crossover finds Ryan Howard. Howard for 3, and we said it, the connection between Caitlin Clark and Ryan Howard has been.
In just 19 minutes, Clark elevated her teammates to elite levels, proving that the international style of play did not slow her down at all. She simply walked onto the floor, assessed the competition, and bent the game to her will from the very start. Given that performance, one would naturally expect the next game to be about building on that momentum with increased minutes, greater trust, and expanded opportunity. After all, you just watched your player break 5 world records, so you ride that wave and lean into it. Instead, something drastically different unfolded when Team USA faced Puerto Rico, and the footage from that contest is genuinely uncomfortable to watch for anyone who recognizes what Clark is capable of when given the freedom to play her game.
Share the ball, comes off the screen. A nice pass into Copper. Copper up and under, and what a finish for Copper, and what a setup by a point guard.
Let's address something that almost never happens at a FIBA World Cup qualifier. The opposing coach's daughter showed up holding a fan sign for a player on the other team, specifically for Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers. The Puerto Rico head coach's own child was sitting in those stands cheering for the very player her mother was attempting to neutralize, which speaks volumes about the cross-cultural impact Clark has already generated on the global stage. The energy surrounding Clark extended well beyond one family, as the arena was packed to capacity with fans lined up outside and buzzing inside, creating a playoff-like atmosphere, with people in attendance specifically because Caitlin Clark was in the building.
Ryan Howard, who's the TCL player of the game just yesterday, Kalia Copper, and of course another fan favorite, Caitlin Clark checks into the game. There's a lot of Caitlin Clark jerseys and signs from little girls, little boys all over. Not this crowd here right now because they just announced Caitlin Clark's name.
Caitlin Clark fever is for real. You got that one, right?
FIBA's own broadcast crew assigned a dedicated cameraman to follow Clark constantly, not just during live action but between plays, during timeouts, and throughout warm-ups, making a production decision that she was the face of this tournament even before anyone officially acknowledged it. The buzz surrounding Clark was not contained within that arena either, as the phrase Caitlin Clark fever spread through international sports media outlets that never cover women's basketball, while journalists from countries without WNBA teams were filing stories about this qualifier simply because of her presence. This level
we saw in the first game, as you mentioned, those hockey subs, I think is going to happen probably the same thing, just trying to differentiate between the different 5 matchups, 5 players on the court.
Of attention is not normal and cannot be manufactured. Moreover, her being there was drawing fresh eyes toward women's basketball on a global scale, with the Indiana Fever brand traveling internationally because of one player, as people who had never watched a WNBA game became curious about the sport when Clark was playing in their time zone. FIBA was treating Clark like the main attraction, with a sold-out arena buzzing and even the opposing coach's child holding up her name on a sign, while fans in the building described a distinctly different energy every time Clark touched the ball. When she was on the floor, people leaned in, and when she came out, the crowd noticeably settled down, demonstrating a genuine pull that is both rare and undeniable. That energy and
Mírala. Hay que pegar la foto bien ahora. No puedo. Saca tú, pues no puedo. Esto no me deja. Oh my God.
Puerto Rico was not manufactured by ESPN or an Indiana Fever marketing campaign. It was simply people from all over reacting to someone special playing basketball at an elite level. Women's basketball has not had a player move the needle like this on a global stage in a long time, and this tournament had not even finished its first full weekend yet. However, while the fans were
Caitlin Clark gets in the passing lane, goes coast to coast for the and one opportunity. Makes the layup off the glass. She asked her teammates, did that go in? Now she gets a chance at the foul line. She wanted the intentional. I think she got hit in the head there, but let's take another look. Caitlin Clark jumps the passing lane, coast to coast. Let's see. Oh, the referee got in the way to see that. She did get hit in the head. She's making a case for herself, but she's going to go to the line.
there for Clark. The cameras were fixed on her, and even the opposing coach's family was cheering for her. The people controlling her minutes had a very different agenda that seemed to prioritize something other than maximizing her extraordinary talents. There is a specific frustration that comes from watching a player look directly at an open teammate and simply refuse to pass, and this scenario played out with Caitlin Clark at least 4 times during the Puerto Rico game, with Angel Reese in the point.
You see all the publicity Caitlin Clark's getting today? Did you see the news? Everybody's talking about Caitlin Clark. We can't have that. The transition offense, Caitlin Clark making passes that nobody in the league has ever seen before. We can't have that. Slow it down, Carol Lawson. Switch it up. We got to make everybody else shine. We don't want her. Everybody else needs to shine. Today's night, it's going to be Paige's night and Angel's night. Yeah. What a brutal game, folks. What a brutal game.
Guard role repeatedly choosing not to find Clark. On each of those possessions, Clark was doing everything right without the ball moving, creating angles, reading the defense, and positioning herself for easy scoring opportunities, yet Reese looked right at her and deliberately went the other way, not once or twice but at least 4 separate times.
Reese is playing the point guard. She's not looking Caitlin Clark's way one time, deliberately not pass.
The first couple of times this happened, one could give Reese the benefit of the doubt, assuming she simply did not see Clark or that the timing was slightly off, as basketball is fast and players occasionally miss reads. However, by the third and fourth instances, that explanation stops holding up because Clark was clearly open, Reese had possession, and she either
not gonna pass her the ball. Look at this, they're both going for rebound. But Angel Reese thinks she's the better point guard. She takes it up and just wastes a possession. Here we go again. Angel Reese is playing point guard.
Chose someone else or forced her own play into tighter windows than necessary, making it clear these were decisions, not innocent mistakes. Then there was the physical moment when Reese bumped Clark during a sequence where contact was completely unnecessary. It was not a hard foul or a play on the ball, just a bump in a spot that made no basketball sense. Clips of that moment flooded social media within hours of the final buzzer because viewers could see that it was not accidental, it looked pointed and personal, fueling widespread discussion across multiple platforms.
Angel Reese in the game with Caitlin Clark. Look at her. She runs up the court and then throws it backwards. And then Caitlin Clark makes a beautiful move, dries it, dishes it over her shoulder, and Angel Reese throws it out of bounds. Caitlin Clark drops a dime. Just going through the possessions. Another great pass. See, Caitlin Clark moves the ball, but the problem is, I don't think she's going to get the equal.
Social media did not let this issue fade quietly, as fans compiled the look-off possessions back-to-back and posted them side by side, with comments that were not kind to Reese, as people who had tracked the tension between these two all season felt their suspicions confirmed on an international stage in Team USA jerseys before a global audience. These possessions were the most visible symptom of a larger problem.
Here we go, Angel Reese, look at it. She doesn't even look Caitlin Clark's way. I can't make this up. When it happens 10 times, she throws it to Jackie Young instead, but Jackie Young finds Caitlin Clark, and Caitlin Clark knocks down the tray.
The overall offensive flow when Clark was on the floor felt disconnected in a way that was hard to ignore, especially when compared to the Segal game where every Clark touch made the offense hum with teammates moving and defenses scrambling, whereas against Puerto Rico there were long stretches where she was physically present but barely involved because the ball simply was not finding her. When Clark is used correctly, defenders must account for her at all times because she demands attention from beyond the arc, and they cannot simply sit on other players. However, when teammates refuse to involve her, that defensive pressure vanishes, the opposition no longer worries about her, and the entire offense becomes easier to guard. This is not merely a theory but fundamental basketball spacing. The context makes this situation even worse because this is the same player who set 5 FIBA world records the night before in the same gym, with her teammates watching her do it and seeing exactly what the offense looked like when the ball moved through her hands, yet in the very next game, this is how she was treated on the floor.
This, Angel Reese, like we're trying to move fast. Just lollygagging up the court, and then Caitlin Clark finds Angel Reese. But it's killing the momentum. Caitlin Clark, look how fast she gets the ball up the court. But you cannot get momentum in 4 minutes when Angel Reese is playing point guard.
One possession can be explained away, 2 can be stretched, but 4 possessions combined with a physical bump forms a clear and undeniable pattern, and fans watching both games back-to-back could see exactly what had changed. The ball stopped going to Clark, and the offense paid the price immediately for that shift in approach. What makes all of this bigger than just on-court drama is what Kara Lawson said when she sat down at that press conference microphone after the game, as most coaches are careful with their language, using safe, team-first answers that give no one ammunition. When Lawson spoke after the Puerto Rico win, her words landed differently because they were not careful. They provided a direct window into how she was actually thinking about
very next game. This is how she gets treated on the floor.
Here we go again. She doesn't look Caitlin Clark's way. She won't the entire game. Look at Caitlin Clark has her hands up ready for the ball. Angel Reese is never going to pass the ball to Caitlin Clark, but Caitlin Clark passes the ball to Angel Reese. But it looks like this is how it's going to be. I like the first game when they had Kelsey Plum, Ryan Howard, but if Angel Reese is going to play point guard and not pass Caitlin Clark the ball, she can't play that up-tempo fast offense that she's wanting to.
Caitlin Clark. Lawson had been using the phrase fact-finding mode to describe her approach to rotations and lineups, which on the surface sounds reasonable as you experiment and figure out your roster. However, she then went further and stated that she wanted everyone to shine, not just Caitlin Clark, and she said this the day after Clark had broken 5 FIBA world records in 19 minutes off the bench, meaning she was not talking abstractly about team balance but rather about deliberately pulling the spotlight away from the player who had just made history. When a reporter directly asked Lawson about Clark's performance in the Puerto Rico game, she dodged the question, refused to answer, and pivoted away, which for a coach whose player had set historic records less than 24 hours earlier, refusing to even address that player's game is a clear and loud choice that speaks.
In terms of the team ball that we saw yesterday, in terms of anything being exciting from today, just simply wasn't there. It was a snooze fest today. Caitlin Clark getting looked off by teammates. Angel Reese dribbling the ball right past Caitlin Clark only to turn it over. It was bad news.
Volumes about her priorities. Look at the starting 5 Lawson put out against Puerto Rico. Chelsea Gray, Paige Beckers, Kelsey Plum, Monique Billings, and Kiki Urian, with no Clark in sight, and the offense immediately suffered as Team USA's pace dropped and ball movement slowed, with the starting unit grinding against Puerto Rico's physical defense and struggling to generate clean looks. When Clark came in with the second unit, the tempo shifted right away with faster transitions, better reads, and more fluid ball movement, making the difference visible in real time for anyone watching closely. Here is the part that is almost hard to believe. Puerto Rico ran a box-and-one hybrid defense specifically designed to keep the ball out of Clark's hands.
It is sound like she's refusing to answer questions about the starting lineup. Because at the end, she said, well, everybody's playing a different role and they're the number one. I don't want to hear none of that.
Meaning a team that was going to lose by 30 points still built their entire defensive game plan around stopping one player. The opponent respected Clark more than her own coach trusted her, and that is a reality worth letting sink in. Let's talk about this everyone should shine philosophy in practice, because wanting multiple players to contribute is fine and that is normal coaching. But when one player just broke 5 world records in under 20 minutes and your immediate response is to design the next game so that it does not happen again, that is not a philosophy, that is a deliberate decision. About one specific person that cannot be disguised as team building, Lawson did not stand at a podium and announce an anti-Clark agenda because she did not have to. She simply said she wanted everyone to shine, not just Clark, refused to answer a direct question about Clark's performance, and started a lineup without her after Clark had dismantled the previous team less than 24 hours ago.
Coach, you were talking about how there was some good and there was some bad. Was the stuff that you have to work on done by Puerto Rico? Was it self-imposed? And if it's the latter, how do you kind of go about navigating just not self-harm in these games?
I think anytime there's breakdowns, it's usually a combination of both. So we weren't as tight in our coverages as we wanted to be, and they exploited that. And so if we can be tighter, you would hope they wouldn't be able to exploit it as easily maybe.
The press conference did not reveal the plan so much as it confirmed what the box score had already been showing all along. Here is what everything that happened in Puerto Rico actually proves, something that every Fever fan already knew. When Clark is limited, the offense suffers, but when she is free to play her game, the offense becomes historically good, not slightly better or marginally more efficient, but historically good, as in 5 world records in one night good. And in Indianapolis in 2026, nobody is designing a game plan to dim that down. Clark pulls up from deep and delivers the kind of three-pointers we are accustomed to seeing when she is in rhythm, firing without hesitation and making it look effortless. And that brings us to the real takeaway from all of this. Lawson.
I think what I like the most is how much they share the basketball, their willingness to play with one another and to be excited for each other's success. We're playing a lot of people. They're playing a lot less than their normal minutes. It's different for them rotationally. I mean, all of these players start, with their respective WNBA teams, and all of them are like, if not the number 1 option, the number 2 option on their team. And so you're asking them to play a different role, in particular on the offensive end, and they're all doing it willingly.
Wanted everyone to shine. Reese looked her off 4 possessions in a row. Puerto Rico ran a box-and-one just to slow her down, and Clark still made Team USA better every single minute she was on the floor. Picture what she does when none of that is working against her, when the coach actually wants the ball in her hands and teammates are actively trying to find her. That is the Indiana Fever in 2026, where she is not walking into a locker room full of veterans competing for shots and attention but rather is the system itself, with the entire offense built around what she does best.
Strong, I know she's frustrated with herself there. As Team USA comes back the other way, looking to punish. Caitlin Clark pulls up from deep. I know that Caitlin Clark, the no-go threes we're used to seeing when she's in rhythm. Doesn't think about it, checks it out, but now want to hit absolute.
Pushing pace, finding cutters, pulling defenders out to the arc, and threading passes through gaps that most players cannot even see, as the Fever are not trying to manage her minutes so someone else can shine but are instead trying to build something special around her. If you are a Fever fan watching this, the Puerto Rico game is not a reason to stress but actually a reason to feel optimistic about what is coming, because it showed exactly what happens when Clark is used incorrectly, and now. You know what right looks like by comparison. The Segal game was right with 5 records, 12 assists, 0 turnovers, and the whole offense clicking in under 20 minutes, setting the baseline for what she does when people let her play. The people who tried hard to limit her in Puerto Rico actually made the strongest case for why Indianapolis is where she belongs, as Lawson's rotation decisions and Reese's possessions all put a spotlight on how different Clark's situation is with the Fever, where she does not have to fight for the ball or compete with teammates who would rather force their own play. She just play. Are you ready for the 2026 season? Because if this tournament showed anything, it is that Clark operating at full